school paying the athlete the scholarship is not equal to a non-athlete, but that's what everyone wants to equate it to. Say it costs $40,000 to go somewhere. That's not actual cost, so people make that be money.
Yeah.
Like they're paying you over $107,000. Well, I'm sure that's not what it costs to charge. Like that's not what the school's going to charge itself.
Yeah.
But that's what most people equate it to. So the system is working if we can keep making these kids think the value is not in them and the value is in this scholarship.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to speak on it, because I'm one that didn't have it and went to school for academics, and I just had a chance to play football, and to stop devaluing yourselves, and parents, stop devaluing a career.
Yeah.
It's like, a professional sports is a career.
Yes, sir.
And
it's a business.
It's a business, and people need to look at it as such.
And you feel like in a business, because at the end of the day, these athletes, everything that has a face has an image of them. It's being sold, and the school gets it all.
School gets it all. Jerseys. So just because they don't put the last name on the jersey,
we know who it is.
we know who it is. As soon as something happens, the athlete, say Reggie Bush, he has to give back the trophy. So he gives back all the trophies, but the school doesn't have to give back the money that was made on that person.
Nah.
Like, if we're giving everything back,
Give everything back.
right?
Yeah.
But that money doesn't.
Do you feel like people, when you say modern day slavery, do you feel people kind of want to back away from you? Like, okay, he's talking that crazy stuff. Let me get away from him.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because the first thing they say is, well, they can quit, or they don't have to play, and they have a choice. Slaves didn't have a choice, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, exactly. Like, that's totally understood. Thus, no one said it was the same.
Yeah.
It's modern day slavery. It's the ownership. It's the fact that you're restricted. You can't do anything. Going to the National Football League, I signed a 2-year deal coming out of Colorado State. So I start in my second year, right? So I'm thinking, oh, yep, I'm going to have a good year.
Yeah.
My third year, I'm going to be a free agent. I'm going to sign a big deal because that's what I see on TV.
Yeah.
And talk to my agent, and he's like, oh, no, you're exclusive rights free agent. Just think about those words. Exclusive rights free agent. How are you exclusive and free?
Doesn't make any sense.
And that's what I was. So there's no negotiation. It's just a minimum for what they want to give you for your year. So going into your third year, it'll be minimum for a third-year player, or it'll be a value. So say, like my teammate Corey Dillon or something, where he's probably still on his contract, but anybody that has any value, they can place a higher tag on you. That way, if another team comes to get you and offers you a contract, if the team you're with wants to let you go to that team, that new team that you go to would have to give them the value that they placed on you, draft pick.
Wow.
So if they place the first round rights on you, a team would have to come in and give you a contract. If they didn't want to accept, they take you and they have to give up that pick for getting you.
And even when we watch all these combines and how the athlete is undressed and how they size the athlete up, I remember you was telling me some different things, like how they would talk about the athlete.
Yeah.
Like he was just stock.
Yeah, exactly. Just like Cat, I'm glad you said that. I played an all-star game, so they try to get it out early. So at the East-West Shrine game, we go into the hotel. We're just in nothing but underwear, all on the line. All the scouts are in there, and you come walking up. They call your name, Adrian Ross, linebacker, 6'2 and a quarter, 247 pounds. Hand, 7 and a quarter.
Man.
Arm reach, and you're standing there,
Yeah.
and they're snapping pictures. Turn around, like they're looking at your body and everything.
And then breaking you down. And if this is not what was happening during the slave trades, when they were trading slaves and it was selling us,
Exactly.
so how can you be upset by using that? But it's, and still modern day.
Right.
It's not slavery, but it's modern day.
And then when you go to the National Football League, there's 32 owners. And most people don't think about this because you're talking about football, being a player is 1%.
Yes,
What's the percentage on being an owner?
Yeah.
So no one thinks like that unless you're an owner. What do you think their conversations are when they're having the owners' meetings and such and such? Like, I mean, if you own a team, you own individual players. You own their rights. And to even say it even more, because a lot of people don't know this, is just like I said, the team owns your rights for a certain amount of years. You're an unrestricted free agent when you're in your 5th year, going into your 5th year. So, yeah, you could quit, but it's not like another job where you can stop working at Burger King, you can go work at McDonald's.
Because they still own your rights.
They own your rights.
Hence, Barry Sanders, he didn't want to play for Detroit. They said, we're not going to trade you. He retires, never plays again in the NFL.
And we have Adrian Peterson right now. Didn't want to go back to the Vikings. But they said, no, we're not letting your rights go. He's going to play for us. He's not going to play. So what do you call that? But when people just say you could quit.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling because as we break down sports for what it is now, I mean, it goes away from the fun childhood memories of where I want to be like Mike. I want to, do a hook shot like Kareem. I want to pass like Magic Johnson. I want to throw like Joe Montana. I want to catch like Jerry Rice. Hit a home run like Darryl Strawberry. Pitch like Dwight Gooden. We see the truth of it all, really.
Right.
And when we talk about the modern day athlete, and we talk about these things that are going on socially, we talk about white privilege, we talk about a lot of different issues that have happened, and with Brandon Marshall coming out saying he feels and believes that white athletes have there's a different treatment for white athletes compared to black athletes. And me personally, as you know, we go back and forth and we conversate, and I discussed, and as we've talked about it on several occasions, when LeBron James decided to be a free agent. And the hate and how he was villainized for what he had the right to do. 7 years he left. But then we turn around and we look at the golden boy, Tom Brady. I like the guy because his story is almost similar to you. It wasn't the blue collar, all-American guy. No, it was like he had to move up the ranks, but he is where he is. But when he was in Deflategate, and all the evidence pointed at that Tom Brady knew something, did something, he was looked at as a hero. And then when you have him fighting against the NFL and then winning that case, and then you turn around and you look at Michael Vick, who was fighting dogs, not humans, didn't even kill any of the dogs per se. It was maybe his cousins. He served time for fighting dogs. And then you have guys like Ben Roethlisberger who's been accused of rape. And he settled out of court, made payments, got suspended, but you just don't see the same kind of treatment on both sides of the fence. And even with the Ray Rice situation, he's exiled. He is the banner child for domestic violence. And though I'm not saying that these things that these athletes have done, I'm not condoning it.
Right.
It just seems like the level of accountability on both sides is totally different. You have Tom Brady celebrated like the hero, LeBron James, and I bring those two up because Tom Brady, the best at his game, the one of the focal points of the NFL. Without and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, what you're gonna have? LeBron James is the NBA. Right?
Right.
So you have both those athletes, and you saw how I felt America, and this is where I really started getting deep into changing a lot of how I viewed sports the way I used to view it. You saw burning of jerseys, and yet you saw Tom Brady, free Tom Brady.
Right.
I'm just saying, is Brandon Marshall right?
Yeah, I think he's right. It definitely is. I mean, all the way down to just players, like just like how the announcers, praise white players as far as, so say me being a linebacker, I feel I know football to the highest level. I'll go up against anybody with my football acumen. But when all my playing days, it was never discussed that I was a smart player.
And that's why it's crazy, because when you say that you were a scholarship kid, not an athletic scholarship kid, that's like, oh, really? You don't hear that.
Right. And exactly, that being my story, it was like it was never told.
Because that's a big story, because you went from scholarship and walked on and got your time in Colorado State, and then as a free agent, right?
Correct.
You got on Cincinnati.
Right.
That's a story.
So I did it twice. And it was never discussed that I'm this smart player. But every time I turn the TV on and watch the Dallas Cowboys, Sean Lee, the middle linebacker, is the smartest. He's the smartest guy. He's the smartest athlete. Ray Lewis. I asked several people. They say he's one of the greatest. Now, we'll hear over time, but you're talking about a Hall of Fame guy, and later on, it ends up being that, okay, well, this guy just knows football. It's just told in a different story, though. It's more, he's a warrior and whatnot. And there's a few positions on the field that are still reserved for the white athlete more so than a black athlete. And that's quarterback and safety. Like, when you look at those positions, there's more white, probably on defense, other than the D-line, that's probably, safety is probably where you have most of the players are at. And it's always about their smarts and never necessarily about how athletically gifted they are. And just like you said, with Tom Brady and LeBron. The decision,
yeah.
I was just amazed at how it was depicted to be negative. I said, I've never seen an athlete raise $2 million in an hour like that and donate it, was it to the Boys and Girls Club?
Yes, just like that.
And that's never discussed.
Never.
It's, a lot of the fans are talking about, oh, that was wrong, how he did them. And I'm like, how is it wrong? Because you wanted him to do something else.
Yes, sir.
And that's all part of the problem, but that's what I see. It goes back to that ownership. It's like people feel because I watch and I have my own feelings, you have to do what makes me feel good.
Yeah. Not what makes them feel good.
Which, again, would be fine if that's really how people felt. Yeah. But I always talk to several people that have these same views, and I ask them, do they do that when they go to the movies? Once they're watching a movie, I always ask them, do you say that actor shouldn't have said that? Do you say that you don't like them because they casted so-and-so for that part? Where's all the hate? It's just, you either love the movie, it's a classic, you didn't like it, it was funny, but there's all these other adjectives for it, and you just move on about your business. But with sports, it seems like with the black athlete, we want to keep going back and back and back and back. And, okay, well, maybe that's why I have to be careful in liking him, because in college he got in trouble. Yeah. Cam Newton. Yeah. Cam Newton comes in the league smiling and this and that. And
the first thing they do is they talk about his past.
But yet he's won everywhere he's won. But where's all that he's a winner at? But let it be a white quarterback, and it's Tebow. He was a winner. Tebow was a winner, so on and so forth, and he's the guy that you like your daughter to marry. Yeah. So there's all these extras on it, and we don't get that. Like I don't think I've ever heard them say that about a black athlete.
Well, Johnny Manziel. I mean, when Johnny Manziel was going, and he was the biggest thing. I mean, since Larry Bird came out, I mean, it was literally like he could do no wrong. Though he represented what a black athlete would do when he's putting up his money, they still put him to the highest degree of glory where compared to Jameis Winston. They made sure, though some of the things that Winston had on him, he put himself in those positions, but he didn't get that break like Manziel got.
Exactly. And both had some off the field issues. I think Manziel was suspended for a half of a game or something like that. He was investigated for signing autographs.
All type of things.
You know, and then that's where, you know, us trying to teach the youth. Todd Gurley, you know, gets caught up for signing autographs. The difference is...
And he got suspended.
And that's what I was going to say. The difference is because he didn't have money to fight it. Manziel had money to fight it. Tom Brady was in New England, and it was about playing issue. So the team let him off to go handle the issue. Most of us aren't fortunate enough to be able, say for me, I was arrested in Bakersfield going to Joey Porter's wedding for nothing. I can't fight that ticket because I have to be at practice. I would love for the team to let me off and say, hey, go and handle that matter. That's just wrong. And that's why I think on both sides, I love that Tom Brady won, and I love everything that happened because he was allowed to.
Yeah.
Now I want to see who else is going to be given the opportunity to fight something. You know, and the whole Deflategate, it kills me because the league set that up. The league, what other place we can't go to the airport, go through the security bag check, and then say, hey, we're gonna go out to our car real quick, walk right back up and say, hey, we already checked you out, right? Why does the NFL's rules prior to this happening, prior to another team saying something, that's the only time, just like in the Ray Rice, they already had dished out a punishment when they already saw it. Then when we all saw the film, then they wanted to come back and suspend them again.
Suspended for life.
So with the balls, why are you inspecting them 2 hours before the game and then giving them back to the team? So the whole point is it was never a problem for the league. The league didn't care. Yeah. That's why they're giving you the balls back to let your quarterback do whatever he wants to do with them. Yeah. Now that some outsiders knew what was happening, now we need to get in front of this. Yeah. So,
and it was almost like defined in a sense, like, you guys know what's going on. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's go out there in court. But when I look at Tom Brady, the golden boy, not one time, even though people did point fingers, and it was mostly black athletes that were talking about how he cheated and all this other thing, it was not the kind of fan madness that happened when LeBron James, who played for 7 years for Cleveland, and said, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. That statement by itself, people used it, it ran it, media, and it created such a synergy. But unfortunately for LeBron James, he had to go deal with that mentally, but the NBA won because now they had a villain that they could market. So either or, the NBA created that kind of environment so they can benefit. But at the same time, when Brandon Marshall makes his statement, it does look like that the athletes, when we consider the white and black athletes, they get more. The treatment is better. The treatment is in the same sense of when back in the day they used to talk about the quarterbacks, and not only could be white, that the black quarterbacks weren't smart enough. So now you have these situations, and we were talking earlier as well, when you look at the league, and yes, you have a backup quarterback in Michael Vick, but that's like one black backup quarterback. And the reason why is because he has a resume, and his resume was a superstar at one particular time. Right. You can't find that nowhere else. So with the RG3s and the Colin Kaepernicks who've fallen on hard times, after they get cut or something happens to them, if they don't pick up their game, or get onto the field, what happens to those guys?
Yeah, they're gone. They just there's just no. It seems like the black quarterback not only some weren't skilled enough. It's like
Yeah.
a lot of people want to go back to the Jamarcus Russell, but just like that, he was good enough to be a first round pick, and then just out of the league. So like he never could be a backup.
Yeah.
Like look how fast Donovan McNabb was out of the league. I mean, you're talking about a guy that went to the NFC Championship.
Who had resume?
I don't know how many, like 6 years in a row or so. And it's just like when he goes to where it's almost like the threat of them being there is too great for the starter. But you can have Mark Brunell be in the league till he's like 44, being a backup. I think Matt Hasselbeck is still a backup
Yes, he
somewhere.
is.
And
Colt McCoy, he was a backup for several years.
right, and Jimmy Clausen, all these guys that were coming out of college like a RG3 with all this big hype behind them. Blaine Gabbert,
Yeah.
all this hype behind them, and they get to just go be that bust and then just go and sit behind someone else, but they're still in the league though. They don't get talked about like the black quarterback does.
Or just a black athlete in general, if they bust.
Like you look at Brett Favre. Well, Warren Moon was Brett Favre before Brett Favre. Warren was playing at 40 and 41 years old with the Vikings. Killing them.
Yes, sir.
Brett Favre broke Warren Moon's records as far as total overall pro yards. Warren Moon is like second all-time total pro yardage. Well, he's fourth overall because there's two quarterbacks in Canada that are higher than Favre. But as far as the National Football League, it's Favre, and it's going to be Peyton Manning. It's Favre and Peyton Manning, and then Warren Moon. So for Warren Moon to have been there before Favre, did you ever hear about when Warren Moon was number one?
Nah. Nah. Not at all. You hear Dan Marino, Brett Favre, Joe Montana.
And then now, because Warren had to play in Canada, his pro yards is, I say only, but his pro yards are only at 50-something thousand. So now you're getting the Drew Breeses and company that are passing him. But when you add in his 20-something thousand or however many yards from Canada, he's up there with Favre.
That's crazy. And then when we look at it as far as with the whole Black Lives Matter, you have Richard Sherman, and I don't know if it's me or it seems like athletes, once they start getting that celebrity, like 1 minute they
and it was made into a film, and it was great, and all these people loved it all, The Blind Side, and so on and so forth. So I'm like, look at all these stories we have, and then here comes E60. E60, we're going to be featuring so-and-so and so-and-so for free. So they go and get all the stories, because if you don't have the knowledge to know and to say, well, hey, I want to be an executive and producer on the show.
To get yours back.
Yeah, I want a credit on that. I want a couple. But if you don't have that knowledge,
You don't know.
But what knowledge do you have? Hey, I'm gonna be on. Yeah, my high school's doing real good. Hey, go ahead and tell everybody like, hey, I'm gonna be on the 10 o'clock news tonight. That's where it comes from. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be on the news. So and so talked about you today. Hey, our game is playing. That goes back to that team. When you overly have a team mindset, how do you have your own mindset of what's good for you? When you're always taught to thinking, making us all look good. They can make it all share. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how are you going to how are you teaching someone that the whole time and then expect them to get there and to know they can get a producer credit and to know they can do this, know they can do their own.
Do you worry for athletes like Marshawn Lynch, actually, who has had this stance of I'm not doing this, I'm not doing? He's really had a more of a rebel stance, which a lot of us Africans, as he's wearing the medallions, are very proud to see that representation. But now he's got the check because of his stance. He's actually made money. I mean, the controversy that he's created has actually now got him commercial deals. So he's making now money outside of a check that he's getting from NFL. Do you worry about athletes like that were so raw and so real that when they start getting that paycheck, I say to people, like I say, you start giving a brother a paycheck and watch his whole mindset change because he got a check. Do you worry about athletes like that?
No. Well, I do, but Marshawn, no. You know, and knowing him, you know, I was there when he was coming out of Cal.
Yeah.
He signed with my agent. And, you know, he's a guy who doesn't spend money, stuff like that. So, you know, he's made it and he gives back to how he gives back. And, you know, a guy like that, it's more, I wish that Marshawn would actually use the microphone to relay the message he wants to. You know what I mean? Or, cool, if you want to be quiet, cool, be quiet and tell everybody to go check out your website. You're a hot item and you could teach a lot of people, and you do that on your own time because you want to do it how you want to do it. But you can use the platform to continue to do that and to help a whole lot more with the message that you have and what you want, what makes Marshawn be Marshawn. He could utilize that platform and help many more. You know, and so I think that he gets torn between the, you know, like, well, hey, once again, the modern day slavery, you have to talk. You have to be available. You can't wear you can't wear that hat. You can only wear this. You can't wear these headphones because now we signed the deal because we saw that all you guys are wearing these headphones. So we signed a deal with them now. You can only wear these kind of headphones.
Exclusively.
Whereas in tennis, you can wear Diodora, Puma, Nike, Reebok. You could each be your own player.
Be your own individual. Wow.
You know, I just wish that, you know, and people just, it's like there's a lot of other people that are counting on his words. That's why they're mad. That's what makes me laugh about it. Is people miss that point. They just make it be like, well, it's in his contract. He has to talk and so on and so forth. And that's what he's saying. That's part of the problem.
It's in my contract.
Right. All the stuff that's benefiting them is in the contract, but not for the player. When this movie starring Will Smith, Concussion, comes out, it's gonna change the game because now people are actually gonna get educated on what the concussion issue is. Right now, a lot of people just make it be the concussion issue is all of a sudden they just discovered that they're having concussions now. And it's like, no. When I was playing, there were studies done on the types of helmets, right? And the league, there was charts done on the ratings. The league was still offering the 5th rated helmet.
Like these helmets right back here. No way, Jose, with these kind of helmets. It's all new now.
All new, right? Like my last year, they offered the new ones. I chose the old one. Just like they said, because
now you have no choice.
That's what I knew, but it wasn't told to you like, hey, this helmet that you're choosing was here's the rating on it, and here's new ones being offered. Here's the rating on it, versus just cosmetic look. Like, oh, well, that one has lower this and that in the air, so on and so forth. It was never told to us like that because they didn't want us to have that knowledge.
Yes, sir.
So when it was found that, oh, wait a minute, you guys have been denying these studies and denying and lying and denying and lying, that's why they're being sued. Concussion, is there someone outside of the team at the neutral party that has the best interest for the player? Before it was, oh, you got your bell rung, hey, we need you, just three more plays, get in there. That's the problem. But now the league got out in front of it, and they're saying, hey, we changed the rules. No hit, no helmet, no this, no that. So they try to put it back on the players again because they know the fans will keep blaming the players.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a hit, that's a helmet-to-helmet hit. Such and such and such and such.
Just like in the same sense of how they put out the salaries of the players, so when the players go on strike, the people are seeing the salaries of the players like, why are you striking? You already have enough money.
Exactly.
Instead of showing the owners' salaries.
Right. And that's why this movie's going to change the game, because now they have, moms and they have parents and with kids that are like, I don't want my son to play yet, but I'm like, but they're doing gymnastics or, tearing AC. You can't run from concussions when you're a kid. Yeah, you could put yourself at less risk of possibly getting one, but I saw kids growing up, we're playing, 3 flies up or whatever, you break your collarbone. Yeah. Boom, they break their arm, fall out of a tree. On the monkey bars, broke wrists. You're breaking stuff, you're getting head trauma, but, it's just like there's car accidents and people are still buying and driving cars. Yeah. But the league has made it be like football concussions. And they're scaring people versus telling the real story. And the doctor that discovered the CTE, you guys were like, the league was having these meetings and they didn't even allow the man in there.
Wow. And when's that movie coming out?
I think it should be out in November.
That's going to be a powerful movie. The truth about the NFL. I appreciate your time, brother.
Appreciate it.
Peace, King.
Peace, King. Concussion, is there someone outside of the team at the neutral party that has the best interest for the player? Before it was, oh, you got your bell rung, hey, we need you, just three more plays, get in there. That's the problem. But now the league got out in front of it, and they're saying, hey, we changed the rules. No hit, no helmet, no this, no that. So they try to put it back on the players again because they know the fans will keep blaming the players.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a hit, that's a helmet-to-helmet hit. Such and such and such and such.
Just like in the same sense of how they put out the salaries of the players, so when the players go on strike, the people are seeing the salaries of the players like, why are you striking? You already have enough money.
Exactly.
Instead of showing the owners' salaries.
Right. And that's why this movie's going to change the game, because now they have, moms and they have parents and with kids that are like, I don't want my son to play yet, but I'm like, but they're doing gymnastics or, tearing AC. You can't run from concussions when you're a kid. Yeah, you could put yourself at less risk of possibly getting one, but I saw kids growing up, we're playing, 3 flies up or whatever, you break your collarbone. Yeah. Boom, they break their arm, fall out of a tree. On the monkey bars, broke wrists. you're breaking stuff, you're getting head trauma, but you know, it's just like there's car accidents and people are still buying and driving cars.
Yeah.
You know, but the league has made it be like football concussions. And they're scaring people versus telling the real story. And the doctor that discovered the CTE, you guys were like, the league was having these meetings and they didn't even allow the man in there.
Wow. And when's that movie coming out?
I think it should be out in November.
That's gonna be a powerful movie. The truth about the NFL. I appreciate your time, brother.
Appreciate it.
Peace, King.
Peace, King.